Film, gaming, pop culture. Welcome to episode 25 of Everything is Permitted here at Wade's Comic Madness. I'm your host, Julian Brown, alongside my co-host, Matt Reppert. How you doing?
I am fighting off maybe your cold, maybe my own cold, and I'm still sore from helping my brother move yesterday, man.
It's the circle,
Yeah,
the circle of life.
Yeah, I
give
was
unto
sucking
you
last
my
night.
sickness.
Yeah, I was sucking last night. I think as I've gotten older, my immune system isn't as good as it was when I was younger because I'd pretty much probably be able to swap spit with you and not get sick years ago. Now I'm like being.
I think that's a topic for a different kind of podcast.
Hey man, everything is permitted, and we know this.
It is everything is permitted. We have episode 25 here for you. We did announce last week and on social media that we were going to be talking this week about doing our first kind of before they were famous segment about Bungie. Unfortunately, one of our guests had to last minute cancel, so we are going to be doing the Bungie episode on July 7th. So that will drop for you, I believe, on July 10th. So that's coming in 2 weeks' time. Just an announcement, we will not have a show next week. I'm going on vacation. So no show next week, and we'll come back with the Bungie episode. But for this episode, we have Vin Spiritoso, who was going to come talk about Bungie with us anyway, and decided that we're just going to talk about his awesome Tesla car and Elon Musk and Tesla in general, because you can't read anything without hearing about Elon Musk these days.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Tesla is very pop culture these days, considering the fact that for reasons I still haven't quite figured out, they decided to launch one of their cars out of the solar system.
I thought that was actually really cool.
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's nifty that they did it, but I'm still kind of like, okay, why did this happen? But I think the Tesla
because Elon Musk is rich and he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, but I mean
I
the image of
of
the Tesla Roadster soaring out of the solar system with a frickin' like dude just chilling in the driver's seat
in
is
millions
probably
of
going
years,
to be a
it'll
pop
reach
culture
like
image.
a galaxy far, far away and like get picked up by the Falcon. And
long after we're gone,
Yeah.
some alien's gonna find a Tesla Roadster cruising through the cosmos.
And then it'll be like, oh, Earth, we don't want to go there. But we'll be talking Tesla with him. And then we just got done finishing our second Raiders of the Bargain Bin movie, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson in San Andreas, which I'm just going to say right before we get to the segment later that I think I'm going to be defending this movie more than you. And then our awesome social media coordinator, Brittany Tomes, is here, and she's going to be joining us for that segment. That's what's going to happen on our show this week. Also, as always, we have our rants and announcements. I'll start with the announcement. Our How to Train Your Dragon the Hidden World contest is still going on. I'm just going to give you the keyword now since we gave it to you last week. If you want a free digital copy of How to Train Your Dragon the Hidden World, email us this code, Stormfly. That's it. That's Astrid's dragon in those movies. We have a free digital code for you. Give it to us. We want to give you free things. So that's still going on. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, email, any of those, we'll take the answer, and you will win that. Do you have a rant?
Not right this second. As I said, I think I don't know if I'm starting to run a little bit of a because I feel a little warm. I don't know if I'm running a fever, so I can't think too well with that right now. So you go.
I got a fever. A fever for more cowbell.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's right. I have a rave, I guess, that is kind of in a rant form.
All right.
Because I used to rant about it. Does that work?
Yeah, go for it. See what you got. Maybe you'll get my creative
what
juices
was his name
flowing.
in The Sopranos? Silvio? Was it Silvio?
I don't know. I never watched
Love
The Sopranos.
Did you watch The Sopranos, Vin?
Yeah.
Not Paulie, but Paulie's friend. It was
I think it is.
like Sylvia. That whole thing where he does, the minute I think I'm out, they pull me back in. That whole thing. I'm back in Destiny.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We've been talking about that. Last couple of days.
I pulled the trigger. I missed it. I finally got the real itch. I thought I got the itch a few months ago. I tried it. I was like, The itch came back, and I've been just on the grind, going and doing like a year's worth of content.
Yeah, pretty much.
Forsaken, and then like however many seasons have been since then.
There's been a few. Yeah.
My buddies took me through a crash course of a lot of things. Yesterday I did an Ascendant challenge. I got Outbreak Prime, Outbreak Perfected.
Yep.
I did the Last Wish raid, which I think you and I have a little bit of a disagreement on. I think I liked it more than you, maybe.
Yeah, I feel that Last Wish, I mean, it's a fine raid. I enjoy it when I do it, but the problem is that, like, maybe it's on me that I haven't learned the mechanics of it the way I knew the mechanics of Oryx and the Taken King and all that, or King's Fall. But like basically, like the few times I've done Last Wish, I've had to kind of like be the side wheel, where I'm just kind of like, all right, I'll hang around, kill things. I'm not one of the guys doing like the stuff to open the doors. Or...
Here's the deal with that, though. I think that in a lot of raids in Destiny, there's not really a place for just like an extra guy. And a lot of the raids Bungie has put out, like someone always has to have a role. And I actually appreciated the fact that there's a place for at least 2 people in most of the encounters in this raid where you could just be the guy responsible for killing shit. Because I like killing shit. Like, that's part of the fun of the game. The gun mechanics are the best shooter mechanics, I think, in video games right now.
I know, and also in the same vein of Destiny, you bought the Grimoire hardbound book that
you showed me, and it's really cool. But I'm happy to be back in the game. I think I texted you while I was playing. I said, don't ever let me quit this game again. One, because I'm just overwhelmed.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you have. Because I remember you were asking me, like, what should I do in what order? I'm like, dude, man, just go.
Do it. Just do it.
Start doing it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm back in Destiny. Been grinding the hell out of it. I'm having a blast. I'm happy that I have the game again. I'm getting ready for Shadowkeep in the fall. I think I have till September to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
So... did you have a time?
I'll just, this isn't a rant or something, but I finally was able to complete my collection of DC movie steelbooks. I bought Wonder Woman.
I still judge you a wee bit for buying Justice League and Batman vs Superman.
Dude, I bought freaking Suicide Squad. Okay,
but that's better than those movies.
I'm not arguing that, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? I might, because I'm going to buy Shazam when that comes out because I really liked Shazam.
Shazam was awesome. Aquaman was cheesy, but awesome.
I still haven't sat down and watched Aquaman. I watched part of it, but I still haven't just sat down and watched it from start to finish.
Well, when I finally get my new TV, maybe this week, we could watch it, or I can come over and watch it, but I'll have my fancy OLED. 8K, baby, 8K.
No, are you going to go with 8K?
I'm not getting 8K. we had that discussion last week. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's I don't know if I'd be proud of that specific collection, but
I mean, the thing is that over time, and something which I'm totally pumped for, but there's a website basically that keeps track of Steelbook releases over the years, and they'll actually put out release dates and everything. That's how I find out a lot of my releases months in advance. And apparently, the thing that they have on their site is that all 3 Iron Man movies and the first 2 Thor movies are all going to get 4K Steelbook releases sometime this year.
Yeah, and my argument is, why not just release them in one like trilogy Steelbook?
Some places they have, actually, like some places in Asia and Europe, I've actually seen those things available, but I mean, they're so expensive because they're selling them for premium costs at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm not spending that money, especially when I know that sometime this year. My guess
it'll probably be with Endgame, right?
I don't know, actually. It might be, because Endgame, the stuff I've seen is that it's going to come out sometime in August. And one would think that if they were releasing Iron Man, all that around that time, it would already have a date, but it still doesn't have that yet.
So maybe like the fall or holiday?
I could see it, I could see it sometime in the middle to late fall, maybe early winter.
That would be a great Hanukkah present.
There you go.
For each 8 days, here's Iron Man 1, here's Iron Man 2, here's Iron Man 3.
And then here's Thor 1 and Thor the
3.
Dark World. Yeah. Oh, God.
Can you just return that one, Mom? See, that's a movie I bought to complete my collection as well. But I don't own the Incredible Hulk.
As I said, I'm working towards collecting all of the Marvel movie steelbooks. So that's been my slow game over the last year and a half. I'd say I've been doing that.
Well, we could always just talk steelbooks all day, but I think it's time for
the permitted minute.
The permitted minute, and we will go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hit it.
Disney/Marvel has announced that Avengers Endgame will be returning to theaters for a limited run with, quote, new footage, which we believe is just another post-credit scene. In more bad news for GameStop, the company is shutting down the popular haven for nerd knickknacks, ThinkGeek. For now, the brick-and-mortar ThinkGeek stores will be sticking around.
Despite still not being officially announced, the Black Widow film is indeed filming and the next in line for theatergoers. Set photos have leaked online showing the possible debut of Yelena Belova, who in the comics also took on the mantle of Black Widow.
As of Friday, Toy Story 4 has made big money, as in $38.3 million, and that's before the weekend haul.
Harry Potter Wizards Unite is finally live on mobile. Keep on sharing those friend codes. Also, Disney has confirmed a 2020 release for the Kingsman prequel taking place during World War I. Instead of listing all the cast, we'll just tell you anyone famous from England is in this movie. 10 seconds to go. We did it. From failure back to victory.
Even not at even on top of our game, we're still able to
sick and all.
it.
We're still powering through and victorious once again. Almost forgot, but I remembered you had a piece of news that you wanted to mention real quick about DC.
Yeah, they're basically DC is people are saying they're getting rid of it, but as Brittany pointed out, they're rebranding their Vertigo, which I guess is as I said, I'm not.
Well, they're doing the black label thing.
Yeah, but it's like the Vertigo label, which I guess was their
edgy,
like more adult, edgy comics. They're essentially rebranding it / kind of shifting it into something called the Black Label or something like. I don't know what that means. As I said, I've been out of the comic game for a long time.
Brittany, you might know the answer to this question since you're sitting next to us here. Was the Sandman series under the Vertigo, or was that something?
So.
Yeah, I think Sandman was Vertigo.
Because I saw in the article that Neil Gaiman did do stuff under the Vertigo brand.
That
was my first thought was Sandman.
Well, we'll have to fact check that.
Yeah, I know.
and find out. We are going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll be back with our first guest, Vin Spiritoso. We are going to be talking Tesla, their cars, Elon Musk, and a whole bunch of other fun stuff regarding that. Stick around, we'll be right back.
There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds. There's a starman.
Welcome back to Everything is Permitted, and we are now joined by my good friend Vin Spiritoso, who is here to talk Tesla. Welcome back to the show, man.
Yeah, how's it going? Thanks for having me back, man. It was fun last time, my first podcast ever.
Yeah, now you popped your cherry, and now you're here for your second one. So
Sure.
Yeah. So we were gonna originally talk Bungie, but we had that cancellation. So you've been talking to me and really want to talk about Tesla, and Tesla's an awesome brand. You've had a Tesla now for like a year, which has probably been a lot of fun for you. Last time you were here after we recorded, we got to take a test drive, which was a really, really cool experience. And as we were saying before the break, it's like impossible not to hear about Tesla these days in pop culture anyway. You know, like you said, launching the Roadster into space. You were telling me you had some pretty cool stories after, having owned one for a year. Give us a couple of Tesla stories.
Yeah, and I had reserved the Tesla back in 2016, so I was waiting around for 2 years. It was kind of like torture. I didn't know anything about Tesla at the time, and then I finally reserved it, and it's been about a year since July 1st. But basically, it's not like there's dramatic stories or anything, but what happens is when you do something like summon the car from 150 feet away in a parking lot, and someone sees it kind of driving towards you with no one in it, they tend to come up to you and talk to you. It's not like I'm trying to do some fancy party trick, but it's one of the software updates they gave me as like a tester, and I was able to do that. But it's funny, I was the other day in an Acme lot, and this old lady, she must have been about 80 to 85 or something like that, just started talking to me, and she never heard of Tesla either. So I started to explain a little bit about the backstory. She had all of these questions about electric vehicles, showed her a little tour of, pointing to the big screen and everything. And she's like, wow, there's no dashboard. There's just one long vent that comes out that blows the air conditioning on you. So I said, hey, this is kind of weird, but do you want to hop in and just take it for a spin? I know we don't know each other and, that kind of thing. And she said, my son would kill me, but, I'll get in the car anyway. So she ran around, hopped in. I said, are you sure you want me to floor it for a few seconds? And, keep in mind, we're in like an Acme lot. I don't want to run over it.
And she's 85 years old, right?
She's like 85 years old. And so I floor it, and she says, like, it's like, she's like, do it again. So I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. So I floor it again. And she just like starts laughing and pull around, and I do this like auto park at the end to kind of make it dramatic. So she sees the steering wheel just start spinning and turning on its own, and she's like freaking out, like, is the car possessed? And but it was just really fun, like little experience. I dropped her back at Acme and gave her kind of an electric car experience. Not many people have even driven in one.
No, and like what I love about that is like everybody's initial reaction to like when you first experience that acceleration specifically. It's like unlike anything else that you drive in a normal car. I remember when you floored it, like there's no like lead time. It just goes. It's crazy.
Yeah, it has instant torque, so because it's an electrical motor, it could receive commands from the computer instantly to accelerate. And also the traction control is so good, they tested in Norway on an ice lake. Even like a quarter of an inch or so, if your wheel is on ice and it spins, it will adjust and then readjust a quarter of an inch later. Like that's how fast this is.
Jeez.
Wow.
So I experienced some of it too. I was going a little too fast in the rain, of course, and it's rear wheel drive. I had a Mustang back in the day, and that couldn't even go in the snow. You'd spin out just going around a turn.
Yeah, I mean, because when we rode in it, like I was kind of caught off guard by the acceleration because you're used to since you've grown up in cars, the like the gear shifting, which you kind of have that brief delay of acceleration, and then the car will go more. But the Tesla, it was just straight, just straight go.
You never heard that gear shift. Which
there was
so
no gear shifting or anything like that. I remember it caught me off guard when we rode in it. That what was it, like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago? It was
a couple of months ago. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was definitely a neat ride. I liked it a lot.
Then you were talking about the Summon the Car feature, which I think the last time you were here, that hadn't been updated yet in the car.
Yeah, so that's one of the fun things about owning a Tesla is you get software updates. It's almost like Christmas. You see the notification on your phone. It's like, oh yeah, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna run out.
Updating to the latest version of iOS.
I'm gonna run out my garage in my underwear just to see what what's downloading or something. But anyway, they gave an update that they increased the power by 5%. And also added 15 miles of range just from an over-there.
Well, probably so you can get more mileage, right?
Yeah.
But that's just interesting to me to think about, like, your car all of a sudden, like, guess what? You now have, like, more range and more giddy up in it just because we did a software update. That's so weird.
But isn't that, like, one of the coolest things? Instead of, like, you like, your car has a shelf life, and you have to constantly get it, like, repaired and maintained. But this is, like... You're getting free updates. It's like DLC for your car.
Shut up, they'll hear you.
Oh, but what if they started adding loot boxes?
They might.
Pay for this feature. Oh, and also we have surprise features that you unlock via the... Oh, man. So, Elon Musk, if you're listening, no loot boxes. We'll sue the shit out of you.
Yeah, I would turn my car in again.
Yeah,
and
gambling. That's gambling. No loot boxes. How many times have you... Is it... I'm sure that some of the car feature is probably really convenient for bad weather.
Yeah, they had this mode that helps thaw out your charger port, so it would, unlock early. Just there's so much they can do with software updates. It's amazing. My auto wipers improved because they're running some AI algorithm just for the AI of the software to predict when to come on and
for the wipers.
I can't wait
for the wipers.
I can't wait for
the AI algorithm for the wipers.
The future is here, ladies.
Jesus Christ.
Elon Musk is Tony Stark.
That's how Skynet is going to take over. You're going to be driving, your wipers are just going to stop, and you're going to crash into a tree.
I'm waiting, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm waiting for the Elon Musk to announce that the Roadster model is going to have the little flashing red light in the front of the car and come with a kit voice.
You're about to say you'll hop in the car
Rider.
and be like, "Good morning, Julian." Like, "Oh, good morning, car."
Go fight bad guys. So we're talking about all these amazing things that you get via these software updates with Tesla. I want to talk about some misconceptions about electric vehicles because Matt, I know that like maybe a year ago, Heather had that Kia.
Yeah, Heather about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago now, almost. Heather owned a Kia Volt, I think is what it was, and it wasn't a bad car in terms of its design, but it was an all electric car, and it sucked. Like it soured me on pretty much most electric cars, just unless I see a lot more from. I mean, the Tesla was vastly different, obviously, but like the thing maybe got like 100 miles on a full charge. Like that was it.
And that's not a lot.
That 100 miles is not as far as you think it is. Like that's the thing that like when it comes to driving and judging distance, like a lot of people don't realize like how far they actually drive. Because, they think, oh, I drive, it's like, a 10-mile drive. Like, no, it's not. It's probably like 30 or something like that.
Yeah, because it may say that it's 10 miles to get somewhere, but depending on the route you're going, obviously, it adds more miles to that. So obviously, Matt's had some experience with electric. If let's say I'm in the market or Matt eventually is back in the market, like what are some misconceptions about electric vehicles? Are we looking at a future where that's going to be it, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a common one, and justifiably is range, because if you want to take a trip across the country, you don't want a 100-mile range car. The Teslas now are, even the mini SUV that's coming out called the Model Y is 300 range. Mine's 325 miles. But also what you can do is the new Tesla's coming out with like 400 miles. The Roadster, which we'll talk about soon, is the 620-mile range.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
for a
insane.
sports car, like supercar.
So like, what's like a 12-gallon tank? Like, what's your like?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not.
like 30 miles to the gallon if you're on the highway. Like
Something
maybe
like that. Yeah.
I mean, 624. That's like
That's
absolutely
insane. Like that's more mileage than my current. I have a Kia Optima, I believe it is, and I get like when it's full, I think it's like 400 ish, maybe a little under 400 miles total that I can drive.
So obviously, like there are more options than Tesla, but you know, if someone wants an electric car, like what are, I guess, like some things that people might worry about that you could maybe like dispel for them.
So yeah, first of all, there's a network called PlugShare. It's an app that shows you all of the locations, like hotels that have electric charging. There's more and more coming out, so the infrastructure is finally coming about. I mean, Tesla's ahead of the curve with infrastructure with superchargers, but as far as location chargers, VW is coming out with an EV. They're going to have a huge network. They just partnered with another company, so it's a good time to actually get into electric cars because of the infrastructure.
I think VW, Volkswagen, obviously, like I think they've actually said they're going to all electric in like by 2022 or something like that.
They're doing something crazy. You can't watch the World Cup right now without seeing commercials for their new Volkswagen party van, like the old hippie van. They're doing an electric version of that.
Yeah, but I mean, like I thought that they had announced that like they're after like a certain year they're done making gas cars. Like they're going to go
it's
straight
a smart
electric.
move on their part, with all the controversy surrounding their quote unquote clean diesel for them to go that route. Do you think that they might be a true competitor to Tesla?
Well, one of Tesla's missions is to accelerate this sustainable energy in the world, and he kind of welcomes competition because he wants other companies to become more electric and help the climate and all that. And my main reason for buying it wasn't that I was trying to help the climate, even though that's a good, side effect. And I'm not like a Tesla evangelist. I just love the car. But the thing is, a lot of
Tesla
electric
evangelist,
vehicles,
I like that.
yeah, and it will save you a lot of money just because
you're not paying for gas.
Yeah, no gas, no maintenance. I rotated my tires like once in a year, and that was it.
Do you? I think I may have asked you about this. I forgot the answer. Do you have to pay to use a charging station?
If you have a Model S and X, it's free supercharging up to a certain date when you bought the car. But now you do have to pay at a supercharger, but it's usually like 10 cents a mile, something like that. So I went to Delaware and I spent $6.24 for the whole trip up and back.
Wow.
And it was like 2.5 hours each direction.
Wow.
Damn, that's impressive.
Instead of like $34 to
About to say,
fill up
yeah,
your
like
tank
it
if you're
costs
lucky
like
these days.
Yeah, I think like right around now it's like $30, I think, to fill
If
up my
we
tank.
completely kill our tank in our VW, if gas is like at $2.95, it's like $40 to fill it up. It's ridiculous. You mentioned it a few times now. You seem really excited about it. The Tesla Roadster will hit the market in 2020 and is going to be the fastest car on the street. Tell us a little bit more about the Tesla Roadster.
Yeah. So I'm excited about the Roadster, but I won't be buying it because it's $250,000. But
you don't have that lying around. Come on,
I don't have that lying around. But one thing about the 2020 Roadster, it is going to be super fast, but also have a lot of range, which is impressive because if a car can go 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, how can it also have 625
pulling
miles?
So many G's.
Actually, it's 3 G's of thrust because they have this gas. The SpaceX package will be 3 G's of thrust. I'll get into that.
You got to talk about that.
So the SpaceX package will have cool gas thrusters and will be capable of pulling 3 G's of force, which will match that of the space shuttle launch.
Oh my god!
So it's going to be insane when you go
I
around
feel it. Oh,
corners.
Jesus God.
You have to wear an Iron Man suit though.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of this in terms of my professional career, where like as I went through, I got certified as an advanced accident investigator, so I'm learning all about the dynamics of crashes and stuff like that and how they work. And I'm thinking about some of the idiots on the road if they got their hands on this car and just going from 0 to 60 in about 2 seconds. How bad that will be for some people.
Oh yeah, and if you want to go even faster, get that SpaceX booster on your freaking car if you want to feel like you're going to space.
And they call it plaid mode from Spaceballs because it's faster than Ludacris, which is the Model S.
God.
You gotta love Elon Musk. Oh my lord. Vin, you didn't get a chance to play it. We were talking about it on PS4 voice chat a little bit. You were texting me about it. In an update, they're releasing a new game that you could play in your car, Beach Buggy 2.
What the hell?
Yeah, I never heard of Beach Buggy 1 or
Yep.
2 until now. But it's a cool game because you can actually use the steering wheel and the pedal when you're playing the game. So
I'm assuming this is like when the car is off.
yeah, and that's why. But just in case, just in case, he made you touch the brake pedal to play the game, not the accelerator. Just in case there's an idiot who didn't put it in park.
Oh, so it's the brake pedal.
Yeah, it's the brake
Okay.
pedal.
Still, that's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, and there's something like 20 tracks you can play. You could be Starman, which was the guy that was launched in the
Yep.
Roadster.
And is the game via the tablet in the car?
Yeah, the tablet, I think it's 15 inches, something like that.
It's
So,
big. I remember. Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. More games are coming. There's a partnership with Todd Howard, I guess, who's friends with Elon. They're doing a Fallout Shelter. Will be.
So stuck in traffic, gridlock traffic in LA. Just turn your car off and play some Fallout in your Tesla.
I mean, like my thing is, as cool as Teslas are, I would actually be afraid to own one because the moment you get into an accident, like of any kind, like that's going to be insanely expensive.
And you
to
read that
fix.
story about what's his name who bought a Bugatti and like literally left.
Tracy Morgan. I think it was.
Tracy Morgan left the shop and got rear-ended by a minivan.
Yep.
But Vin, anything else that you want to add about Tesla, Elon Musk before we head to our next segment?
Just that, it is something that initially might be thought of as being, an expensive car, but, they have a version now. It's like 35 to 37,000, which is not cheap, but when you factor in the savings, you really do save about 10,000 every 6 years or so.
It's like buying your iPhone outright in a way. Like you're saving on having to pay like the monthly fees, and instead you're saving on buying, gas and filling up your tank.
Yeah, and they did a study in 6 years. It's equivalent to the cost of a Honda Accord or Honda Civic. So,
Wow.
but I just love it. So it's a lot of fun.
I'm glad we finally actually got to talk about it in depth because it's really cool, and I'm really hoping. I think if we want to not to like get too political, but like we need to save the planet a little bit, and electric hopefully seems to be the way, and these batteries keep just getting better and better and better. So. And with Volkswagen joining the fray, with and like you said, like Tesla and Elon Musk are trying to just make this like available for all. So, hopefully we'll get there. Vin, thank you so much for coming on and joining us and talking about Tesla. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited about the old Bungie.
Yeah,
podcast.
That'll be a lot of fun. I got a lot of laughs out of you guys talking on chat the other night. Just I'll save those stories obviously for the next show, but. Thank you again. When we come back, Brittany Tomes is going to be joining us, our awesome social media coordinator, to talk about the Raiders of the Bargain Bin and The Rock in San Andreas. That's coming up next. Stick around.
Just another way to survive. California, rest in peace. Simultaneous.
Welcome back to the show, and it is the return of
Raiders of the Bargain Bin.
I've come to bargain.
You don't sound as
Not as miserable. No.
after this one.
No, I mean, I'll say it right now. I enjoyed San Andreas far more than I did The Last Witch Hunter.
As did I, and we are also joined by our amazing social media coordinator, Brittany Tomes is here. She watched the movie with us as well, and also helped us pick it out yesterday. We decided to do Walmart again, but welcome back to the show.
Yeah, I thought you were announcing my return at first, but then you said it's the return of the bargain bin, so I was like,
Well,
here we
it is a
okay.
Return of
it is
both, really.
a dual return of both Brittany and the bargain bin. Not that you two go together. But
I mean, I hope one day I'm as notorious as the bargain bin.
would you want to be in the bargain bin?
I feel like I already am the bargain bin of life.
You are the bargain bin of life. I like it. Speaking of life, how many thousands of people died in this fucking movie?
A lot.
And how many of those thousands of people did The Rock just say, "Oh, sorry, gotta go save my daughter"?
The movie
didn't
did
even
not make a big
acknowledge
deal
it.
of it.
Didn't even acknowledge it.
Like, the ramifications were not there.
Anyway, so we are, if you haven't figured it out yet, talking about Dwayne Johnson, or Dwayne The Rock Johnson, in the disaster movie San Andreas, produced by Toby Emmerich, who, if you would think, because it's a disaster movie, had any relation to Roland Emmerich, you would be wrong.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. But I guess anyone with the last name Emmerich makes sci-fi disaster movies.
They're drawn to disaster movies like moths to a flame.
Like Mothra, too.
I was shocked that they were not related. I will say that right off the bat. Let's go and talk first about. I always like to compare the Rotten Tomatoes scores to what we thought. 51% critic reviews, 52% audience score. Accurate? Brittany, you're our guest. Go first.
I feel like that's pretty accurate. I mean, it wasn't like the worst disaster movie I've ever seen. It was the action and like the effects, I think, made up for the lack of solid story.
Yeah, I'm also gonna agree with that, because I've seen far worse disaster movies, like The Day After Tomorrow, 2012. Those are worse movies. to
I
me.
disagree. The Day After Tomorrow is
like,
better than San Andreas.
Definitely, probably the most solid disaster movie I've ever seen in my life.
Day After Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And you got Jake Gyllenhaal,
Yeah,
man.
Jake, man.
Get the fuck out of here, both of
Isn't
you.
it like Dennis Quaid also?
and Dennis Quaid, yeah,
okay,
man.
Yeah, you got Jake and Dennis.
So let me get this.
FX played that for like 8 years.
So The Rock is less than Jake Gyllenhaal and Dennis Quaid.
He wasn't allowed. They didn't give him the range in this movie.
You stunned me on that one, because The Rock is
I just
not in the range
stunned
of
you,
Dennis
baby.
Quaid, or
I just rock bottomed your ass. How about that?
Oh, well, wait for the people's elbow then, my friend. Jesus
You know who
Christ.
also
This
was
is
rock
off to a
bottom?
great start. I love
no, I
the
All
mean,
of
bargain
San Andreas
my-
was rock bottom.
No, my thing was that, like, and I mean, just comparing it to Day After Tomorrow, was Day After Tomorrow, at least this had a little bit basis in reality. Day After Tomorrow, it's like, oh, there's a giant cyclone that's pulling air down from the troposphere
Bullshit.
that
They keep
causes you to
talking-
freeze
They
instantly.
keep talking about how we're due for another ice age soon.
It was just a metaphor for global
It's
warming,
true.
man.
It's true.
It was a heavy-handed metaphor, but I got it.
Oh, wait, and the overall that we're all going to wind up in Mexico one day.
Rewatch Pacific Rim and tell me what that's really about.
Oh God.
I've yet to see Pacific Rim. I'd like to see it, but that is more of the sci-fi disaster realm.
Pacific Rim, I think one reviewer described it best. It's probably the smartest dumb movie you're ever gonna watch. It's like it was one of those Honest Trailers YouTube videos, because he's showing scenes where like the robots punching a kaiju and it's like so awesome, and they show the scene where he punches through a building and it taps one of those little marble things where it just goes like, it's so dumb.
I believe Idris Elba is in it, and
Yes.
Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy.
Yep. But we're leaving The Rock
We are
behind.
leaving
We're
The Rock
leaving The
behind.
Rock
I'm
and San
sorry.
Andreas
I'm
behind, and
sorry.
all those thousands of
The
dead
Rock
souls.
is not getting his due credit here. I want to just, before we get your thoughts overall on the movie, Brittany, I like that sometimes when you see these movies, the critic score and audience score are so vastly different, because like people just want, like, you know, if they like action and shit blowing up, like the audience score goes up, because like what else are you expecting from that movie? But they seem to be widely not well received by either the audiences or the critics, and that'll lead us into all three of our thoughts. And Brittany, since you're joining us again on the show, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on San Andreas?
Okay, so San Andreas, better than I thought. I'll say it's an okay movie with one very major fault.
The daughter, the dead
No,
daughter.
that was a pun.
Oh, and you're not even a dad.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, but no,
Dad
for real.
puns.
No, I'll actually fault it on like.
Again, that was
No,
the
hold on a
second.
second. Just kidding. The Rock himself. I love him to death. This is him in another dad role, so you're like, this is cool. He's already the cool dad that you want him to be your dad, but they didn't let him do anything with it. Most of the movie, he wasn't really The Rock, and he wasn't really the character that he was trying to portray. He was just like, he was literally like, if you would have put a rock in the helicopter seat, that would have been it. Like, he was a very flat, not many dimensions. They tried to bring in like, oh, my daughter died and I couldn't save her, blah, 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 backstory, but wasn't a lot of emotional weight. It's almost like they took themselves a little too seriously.
Well, like they set up the whole beginning of the movie with him being this super badass
Yeah,
like helicopter
caring
rescue
dad.
pilot, and he goes
Yeah.
and saves his buddy who gets his like arm crushed. He's like, I'm the Rock, and
Yeah.
I tip the nose of my helicopter and put it in really unsafe situations, which would never happen like in real life. They would let that person die instead of putting the whole chopper at risk. Okay,
Yeah.
but like, and then he just turns into Dwayne.
I know. Well, that's the thing. Not even Johnson. Like, also not another.
He had a very limp Johnson in this movie.
Oh God.
I had to, guys.
Dun,
I'm
dun,
sorry.
dun. But like in the beginning, you have this awesome rescue scene happen, and then for the rest of the movie, he doesn't save any other citizen. He's literally just going to find his ex-wife / kind of wife. It's a whole thing.
/ like wife
Slash
at the
just
end.
the
No,
creepy
it's-
mom
it's-
from like The Haunting of Hill House.
It's the estranged wife because they're
Estranged,
not
yeah.
divorced.
Not
Because if
divorced,
they were
yeah.
divorced, you'd be like, why is he going through all this
Yeah.
for his divorced ex-wife? There's a reason they're divorced, but they're not. He hasn't signed the papers, so they're not divorced.
and then his not yet dead daughter.
His-
And then
his-
two reluctantly British boys. Like, I say reluctantly British, not even British, like,
They
reluctant
were
in
hardly
another way.
British.
I know, they were.
They were hardly British.
They were
Who
like-
even knows if the actors were British or not?
I think
you ever
I-
had, like, the
I think the
LaCroix-
older one was.
Seltzer water?
Seltzer water?
Yeah, okay. That's how they were reluctantly British. It was like a hint of British, like when you think that they like know the smell of lemon and that's the flavor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we also like highlight the fact that, like, honestly, I will give this movie like a weird sort of credit. That whole beginning scene with the girl driving.
Should have been fucking dead.
Well, that too, but like the movie totally psyched me out twice with how she was going to crash because you know she's going off one of those cliffs because it's that idyllic, you know, California driving along the San Fernando Valley. You're up on the mountain, these curving roads and this beautiful vista. And so first she kind of looks down. There's this truck coming the opposite way. Oh man, she's going to hit the truck, or she's going to like, oh
Yeah,
my
she gets
God.
something from
And
the back of her car.
yeah, and then she's like, and then, all right, the truck and her drive by each other. All right, that's not going to happen. And she pulls out her phone. She's
starts
sitting there like texting and everything. Like, oh, she's going to go off the road because she's texting. And then she sends a text. She puts the phone down. It's just like, okay, so neither of the things I thought.
Good
were gonna
job, San Andreas. You just promoted really awful driving skills.
But you know what started off the movie?
What's that?
That rock that hit her car. The rock, literally the rock that started the fault issue.
Yes, a landslide, like, basically knocks her. And, like, if she had just fallen off the thing and just fallen into some little ravine or something, I would have been like, okay. But she literally flips end over end over end over end. And it's
Listen,
just-
there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's two movies that I've seen recently where this same kind of situation has happened. The first was Doctor Strange. Sorry, Steven, you'd be fucking dead. 2, this movie. Sorry, chick who is texting and driving her car really bad. You'd be dead too. Like, knock it off. You don't survive that. Like, it would have crushed her. Her skull would have been in pieces.
Plot armor.
I'm sorry, even for movie setup, like, that's an awful setup for a movie.
Now the thing is, like, this movie, like, and Brittany actually was kind of
Well, go ahead, and we'll move on to you and your thoughts.
I mean, we'll keep it going
Go ahead,
around.
I have
but,
lots of thoughts.
Well, yeah,
but
so
like
you're
we're
up,
gonna,
so.
but basically, like, the thing is that this movie did this whole establishing of The Rock and his helicopter crew of, like, we were in Afghanistan together, did 2 tours, we're a family. Those guys are not seeing the rest of the movie. Don't even worry about them.
And then,
Yeah, what happened to Colton?
yeah, what happened to Colton, man?
Like,
I was
what
like, yo,
happened to the
Arrow
Red Arrow?
flashback
Like-
cast is here.
it's like what is it? What was the purpose of establishing that they're a family and they're always together? They work together.
And do you guys remember like seeing the previews for San Andreas and feeling like the crew was like featured heavily in the trailers?
Yeah,
I
that's
feel like that's what I remember from the trailers.
Yeah, because I thought the crew would be more involved and be like, I actually, honestly, like, if you had just told me, you know, before watching this movie, that at some point The Rock was going to be like, hey guys, I know we need to go save my family, and give that stirring speech of, like, you know, there's always hope, like, our family, blah blah blah, you know, they're my family, you're my family, let's go save our my family together.
He was in that helicopter alone.
Yeah, he was in the
whole
helicopter
movie.
by himself.
Where was his crew?
Like, I mean, so I imagine
Did
his
he
crew was
steal it
like
and just
trying to get
leave?
their gear
I
and like
don't
go
know.
rescue people in this massive earthquake, and was like, where the fuck's the helicopter? And like, oh shit, the chief took it. Oh damn it.
and you would think that like he'd be in the chopper for a lot of the movie. I mean, like, he's in his full like chopper gear on the Blu-ray cover. Really, the movie should be called Dwayne Johnson in He Goes and Saves His Family from the fucking tsunami. Like,
It's like, and the thing is that, like, it's, I mean, obviously the movie plays fast and loose with you know, with earthquake science and
Physics.
stuff like that, because
Paul
Paul
Giamatti.
Giamatti Paul Giamatti is in the like. I'm pretty sure he's an Academy Award-winning actor. Is he not? Like I think he won for Sideways.
Like, is that Paul Giamatti?
Yeah, like Paul Giamatti, an Academy Award-winning actor, is the science nerd who predicts earthquakes.
It was
Caltech.
so out of place for me because, as I said while we were watching the movie, I'm a really big fan of the Showtime show Billions, and he plays such a ruthless son of a bitch in that show, and then like he's just this like nerdy dude who lets his friend die at the Hoover Dam, and like let's talk about that scene real quick, okay? Because my dude is like running across the bridge with the girl in his hands. And Brittany, you predicted it. You were like, he's gonna
well,
throw.
I said the same thing.
First of all, he was Asian.
Yeah,
and,
you know, he was the one throwaway,
the one who's actually the smarter scientist.
Racial, like,
yeah, they're like,
you know,
oh
that
look, we're
character dies
inclusive,
first.
and I was like, well, he's gonna run the same speed as the bridge, everything cracking, and he's gonna throw the girl at the end because he had to save her.
But then, like, you know, like a pike goes through his foot, and I'm like, I'm got like all this adrenaline going. Like, I would pull the pike out of my foot and just go the few inches to my friend who's standing right there.
Because apparently it stopped right there.
But no, I had to sacrifice myself for a dramatic moment.
The funny thing, and I think, because I remember, like, years ago, I read, like, what would happen if the Hoover Dam failed, and, like, I'm pretty sure, like, Las Vegas would cease to exist because it's, like, upstream, if you will. And, like, that was not mentioned at all about, like, any communities downriver that just got washed away or anything like that.
The problem with it, for any big disaster portion that happened in this movie, there was no aftermath. There was no, like, Las Vegas is gone, or LA's, like,
this is
decimated.
the death toll.
Yeah, like, millions dead, like, oh no, we're just going to talk about our dead daughter in the car ride to San Francisco.
Yeah, so that's something else that needs to be highlighted. So basically, The Rock and Carla Gugino, how you say her name?
Whatever. Let's call her.
She's a good actor.
She's a good actress.
That's what the G stands for.
So, so The Rock and his not quite ex-wife basically like spend a lot of this movie talking about their one daughter who drowned in a whitewater river accident, which it happened in a brief flashback. And I guess, like, I remember we were making too many smart-ass comments, so I didn't hear all of the dialogue.
I missed the flashback.
Because it was painfully slow.
Yeah.
And you're like, thousands of people are dying miles away. Can you get your shit together?
Yeah, you think he'd be, like, gunning it, like, we need to get to L.A. or San Francisco as fast as we can. Like, just fucking cruise there, man. No rush. Like, take your time. But, like, you know, The Rock obviously is like, oh, I couldn't save my one daughter, so that's why our marriage broke apart. And
you brought up the good point, Matt, that this dude's a fucking pararescue, or not pararescue, but, like, you know, Los Angeles Fire Department, like, chopper rescue. Like, you couldn't see, like, were they not wearing life vests? You couldn't save your daughter from a whitewater rafting trip?
Was he even there on the trip?
Yeah, was he on the trip? I mean, that's
weren't they talking about how he couldn't save her? Like, I don't know.
Is it why he becomes a rescue squad
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, they literally, not enough was given there.
This is why you don't put these stories in disaster movies.
I'm not gonna lie. If there'd been a flashback and they showed The Rock and he was like this little limp wristed, like, weak dude, like, I couldn't save her, I was too weak.
Oh,
and
like
now,
Chris Evans
that's
did?
why he's jacked now.
Yeah.
Because he had to work out so that way he could save his daughter if she fell into the river again.
And, like, he had a full head of hair, and it just, like...
That's right.
As he gets more
it all fell out when he worked out.
What are your overall thoughts on San Andreas?
I mean,
Not that we haven't given them our...
it wasn't a terrible movie. Like, yeah, there were a lot of eye rolling. Like, you got to be kidding me. You got to be, like, I can't believe. Like, I mean, it had a lot of the movie tropes that you saw coming a mile away. I mean, yes, The Rock is a charismatic guy who is, like, he sells his role as best he can. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's a great actor, but he does what he does well.
I just feel like they could have gotten any other big Hollywood person. Like, it could have been The Rock. It could have been, what's his name, from The Transporter. They could have gotten, you know, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth. Freaking Robert Downey Jr. could be the damn helicopter pilot for all I care. Like, he didn't add anything to the movie. The best part was the shitty boyfriend who we all thought was this actually nice, redeemable guy, and then leaves his almost stepdaughter to fucking die, which happened to be Reed Richards from the original Fantastic Four.
Ion Griffith or Griffin. I can't pronounce his name, but
so I spent a lot of this movie defending it because you guys were shitting
we were savaging it
all over
Brittany
it while we were
I think this
it.
is a good movie if you want to have fun with your friends for the action part and then rip on it.
You know,
For sure.
and listen, I agree, but there was something like I thought you guys were going a little overboard with like some of the science thing. I'm like, well, this might work, and like they did the throwaway line about the plane. and I thought that I enjoyed it more than I did, and then as we're sitting here talking about it, I'm like, I can't. Like they did everything that they always failed to do with all the stereotypical shit that happens in these movies. There's a forced romance, there was forced dialogue, there was a forced story about like a past loved one. This is a movie about the San Andreas Fault failing and like California getting destroyed, not like how to fix a marriage. I just
How to fix your marriage.
You know what's bad when he changes his view by the time we finish talking about it.
From the start of the conversation to the end, Julian has now changed.
We can talk about the special effects though, because they were really good.
And that's the thing. Like, had this just been The Rock going around saving people and maybe like going to save his daughter instead of focusing on all that bullshit, I'm not going to say good movie in here, but there's a fun disaster movie in here, and like you said, the CG was phenomenal.
And the sound.
Yeah.
It's like, it was believably like, that's cool. That's a building crumbling. I can see how a building would crumble like that.
Although some of the buildings had plot armor preventing them from crumbling until the characters were there, and then they started to crumble when an aftershock came in.
I will say that one of my favorite scenes in the movie was when they were in the boat, and I said this is like the Fast and the Furious moment in the movie.
Oh my
They're
god!
trying to like avoid the container ship, and the container's falling out, which is how Reed Richards dies in the movie. Poetic justice. He gets with a container that falls on top of him on the Golden Gate Bridge. But like the tsunami's coming in, right? And like you see all these boats and they're powering up the tsunami to try and avoid it. And you see this one like millionaire, probably like Saudi blood money, rich yacht just like flip over and die. Meanwhile, they're in this little like skiff, like still surviving.
Can we just like, if you're a movie maker and you want to have a tsunami, like I know that the big wave is this iconic looking thing, but that's not how they freaking work. Like there's literal actual video of earthquake tsunamis hitting land, and they're never like that. They're never like these 80-foot walls of water. Oh my god, it's gonna knock over this giant building we're in. Like, it's just water. It's just water that just keeps coming. That's all it is. I mean, it's terrifying in its own right, don't get me wrong, but it's not this like, oh yeah, this wave is as tall as the Golden Gate Bridge.
But it's a disaster movie. The bridges getting destroyed was a really cool, like, I know it was not realistic, but it was still like really fun to see, because it wasn't even the tsunami that destroyed the Golden Gate Bridge, it was the damn container ship.
Exactly.
But don't worry, enough of the bridge was left for them to unfurl a giant American flag on it.
Oh my god, the America at the end. Let the rednecks rejoice with the giant American.
We need to watch it again and count the sheer amount of American flags that show up in that damn movie. Because I swear to god, it's like every other scene there's like something. And I'm like, why are there so many?
And something that I know we've kind of already lightly touched upon it, but like, the movie establishes The Rock like in the very beginning, like, you have over 600 rescues, Chief, you're such a badass. He ignores every single human being in this movie.
He doesn't even look for people to help. That's the thing. He like keeps his head forward the whole time until he's like, "Oh, my wife's here."
And he didn't even stop for that really nice old couple
that warned him about
until
the
he needed something from them, and then went back to get him. Like, you ruthless bastard,
Yeah,
Rock.
because honestly, I was waiting when he went back to talk to that old. I was waiting for him to be like, "Go fuck yourself, dude! You drove right by us
Yeah, I would
before."
have been like, I don't want your help. You ignored us the first time. Get out of here. Oh, but no. All is forgiven. Here's our plane.
Yeah. Sorry, what's on your hat? Like,
Oh my god. Oh yeah.
Like the thing is that like they could have, to me, the Rock character could have been changed by, like, you could have had him like, maybe his daughter died while he was in Afghanistan, which maybe what happened, but where I wasn't home to save her or something like that, and maybe he wasn't an acting rescue, but he did that in the military, so that's why he ignores everybody, because he's so focused on his family and such and such.
And we haven't even mentioned Alexandra Daddario yet, who somehow is the Rock's daughter.
the
in
first
this movie.
scene, she's just there in a bikini.
Yeah,
and you're
in a
like, we
bikini.
get it. She's hot. Oh my god, she's gonna be the damsel in distress.
Yeah,
and a lot of like underwater cleavage shots. Like, okay,
Because she had to rip off her other 2 layers of shirts in order to
To
wrap
bandage.
the poor
But
British
I
boy's
made
leg.
the note too that they go from playing father and daughter to being in Baywatch together, and him, like, I think, like, is supposed to be like close to the age of him in that movie. Like, casting choices crack me up sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember during the movie, I even pointed out, like, so the blue-eyed, like, like Daddario is The Rock, who obviously is
Is
very
Samoan,
brown eyes
yeah.
and Samoan. Like that's his daughter right there.
Yeah,
Like
no ethnic ambiguity
no ethnic-
at all.
yeah,
and I
no-
was just like, so
No, I'm pretty sure like it's implied that in a lot of these movies, The Rock is not supposed to be a Samoan badass. He's just a really tanned white dude.
like I'm sorry, but no matter what movie I see him in, I'm like, he's Samoan.
Yeah, dude.
well, you can always see his tattoos and such on his arms, which
Oh
you
yeah,
know-
because when they were going up on the boat trying to ride the wave, remember when I joked? I was like, well, he's gonna pull out his Polynesian roots and he's just gonna ride it like turn sideways and ride the wave like
Yep.
a surfboard.
Oh, we almost had a
didn't
Point
happen.
Break moment.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, which was on our that was on the cut to make the bargain bin, but was not.
Remake.
On,
Point Break.
that was voted out though.
Yeah.
um,
There's too much to cover in this movie, but I mean, overall, if you want a good time with your friends, I would give it like 3 movie reels out of 5 just for that purpose, for actual viewing and for like a good movie.
I'd give it 2.5 movie rolls out of 5. Reels, right?
Yeah.
We're doing reels. Yeah,
Yeah.
2.5 reels out of 5.
Yeah, that's my more accurate.
And we're gonna
one,
do the bargain bin.
half.
We'll do
Two
the
as
bargain
well,
bin
yeah.
score,
But
but
what
yeah,
was-
I would be 2.5 to 3, somewhere in that range. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't. As I
Depends on
said,
your purpose.
I've seen way worse movies in my life, and I've seen way worse disaster movies.
So,
Yeah,
so
man, I mean, Sharknado.
speaking of the bargain bin meter score, as we've been chatting for the past however many minutes, having a blast doing it, I've been going back and forth on my meter score. So I'm gonna get your guys' first, and maybe base my answer off that.
Okay.
Brittany, what is your bargain bin meter score for San Andreas?
How does the meter score?
Oh, sorry,
I
you have not done the bargain bin with
I
this.
haven't done
That's
it
my
with-
bad.
I just wanna make sure I do right.
Dollar store is the worst. Walmart, where we got it from, is like the neutral.
Yeah.
Target is like
Above average.
above average, and then Best Buy is the best, and then we have the
Full price.
Yes, the full price,
Price
which
of
is
the
like the
movie.
holy grail. You would pay full price for this movie.
You mean the full $5? That was a joke. We got it from the $5
Like
bin.
buy it on release day for like $24.99.
I'm gonna have to go Walmart, which is ironically where we got it.
Yep,
It was just perfectly like 50%.
Walmart.
Exactly what they said.
Okay, Walmart for Brittany. Matt.
I mean, honestly, I'll also go Walmart. Like I was kind of leaning maybe towards Target a little bit because yeah, I did enjoy some of the action beats in this movie, some of the graphics and all that. And I mean, I always enjoy watching a city getting destroyed as much as another person.
Yeah, you didn't like The Day After Tomorrow. What's wrong with you?
I
To be
hated
fair,
it.
a lot of those buildings stay intact.
They do,
just
but
get
the way
frozen.
that they get like it's like freezing and all.
A bunch of wolves get into New York City and are hunting Jake Gyllenhaal.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
It froze over. So,
Yeah.
First of all.
Where did these wolves come from?
They were
Animals
on the
escape
Russian
sometimes.
container ship that got frozen inside of right by Grand Central.
Why were they on a
Station.
Russian container ship?
Because the
Because they were
Russians
shipping
love
it?
their dogs and their wolves and feed them
They shot a
vodka.
pack of wild wolves.
Yeah,
Hey, Sergey, are you feeding the wolves? They're fine.
it's probably the KGB. They gotta have their protection. Come on, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's not
Walmart
covert
or
at all.
Target?
I'll
you
say
were-
Walmart. It was just average enough, just bland enough.
Julian, tell us how it is.
All right, so you ready for this?
Oh, God, what are you going to do?
So you and I were at Best Buy the other week,
Oh my God.
and we saw some things in there that were like decent, but there were also some like ooh,
Really
like,
good movies.
really good movies and head turners. But like, I'm just gonna say it. I think it belongs in the Best Buy bargain bin.
I knew it.
What?
I think it.
What?
I think it does. I would have paid maybe like $7 to $10 for this movie, which I think is maybe like the Best Buy bargain bin range. I would imagine that it's probably in there somewhere. I had fun with it. Whereas like, like, what was our biggest complaint last month about Last Witch Hunter?
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. There was no action. Like, we were having a blast throughout this whole entire thing. Like, it was fun. I think Target, it could be in Target too, but like,
I'd be more inclined to go Target
Yeah,
if
Target.
I were to go
but I
from
would see
Walmart.
this grouped in at Best Buy with all the other like Rocky Maivia movies.
Yeah, no,
I
I
have no
couldn't
doubt
call him
that's
Dwayne
somewhere in
Johnson.
Best Buy. Best Buy, but
I could see it in Best Buy. So I'm giving it. This is only our second one. I'm giving it the second highest score of Best Buy because I
Wow.
had fun. I enjoyed it.
I
It
did
was,
have
like,
fun with you guys,
I don't
so-
want to like poke my eyeballs out after The Last Witch Hunter, which we gave Walmart, which if I had to like regress, I maybe would change to the dollar store. But we can't
Yeah, I
change
was thinking
our-
about that as well.
We can't change our scores.
No,
Yeah.
no.
It'll get better as you watch more films, because you'll be like, this one really deserved this.
Yeah. We only have 2 to base the score off of right now, so I'm sure
we're still getting a feel for this.
I'm very solid Walmart for San Andreas.
Brittany, I think
Visually, it's a best
I think
buy.
you should join us for this segment every month. I think
Yeah, why not?
I think this is a lot of fun. It's more fun with 3 than 2.
It's like Mystery Science Theater, our
It
commentary.
is.
Like, that would be, I don't think they
One
want to do our
day,
commentary
and
the whole time.
and I do. This isn't an announcement exactly. One day for our listeners, I would really like to do like a riff tracks thing,
Yes.
which we would do maybe as like a special.
I
paid
told you,
feature
man. I got your Hunter from the future.
Yeah.
That's just sitting there waiting for you.
We got to do a riff tracks. I think that would be a lot of fun. But that does it for our second edition of Raiders of the Bargain Bin. I love this segment. This is my favorite segment that I think we do. Brittany, thank you for joining us. I want to thank Vin Spiritoso also for joining us earlier to talk about Tesla. Just a reminder, we will not be back for an episode next week. We'll be back on, I believe, for you, July 10th with our Bungie talk and a couple other things. I'm sure there'll be... we'll probably review Spider-Man. I'm sure you'll see it before we record. It's July
probably.
2nd. So, yeah, we'll probably do a Far
Is it
From...
July 2nd it comes out?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We'll do a Far From Home review.
Oh, cool.
So we'll have that. And then remember our How to Train Your Dragon giveaway. Just give us that secret code word, which is not so secret anymore, Stormfly, and the digital copy is yours. We will see you in 2 weeks for episode 26. Have a good night.
By airplane to the rocket, by taxi to